there is a modification that I've been wanting to do since day one. I've actually bought it a while ago, and that is exhaust. I had this idea for like a custom exhaust for this thing, and then I found one that's just like it that I've never seen on any other 911. So we will be installing that today. But before we do that, I want to give you guys a good idea of what this thing sounds like. Now, I've had the engine out since the last time you saw it on the channel. We did a full valve adjustment. I tracked down some oil leaks. I rebuilt the thermostat. We did all kinds of things to get this thing to run cooler and run better, and it does. Now, we still have a few vacuum leaks. You're going to hear it. Sometimes it goes and starts idling a little bit high. We're just hunting them down, and we'll get to that later in the video too. But it's good enough now, I think, to put an exhaust on and really get an idea for the sound. So before we do that, I want to give you guys kind of a sound of idle, some on the throttle, some revving, just some ideas of what these things sound like, because a lot of people don't know what they sound like. Now, speaking of that, this is an air-cooled engine, meaning it doesn't have any coolant. It's all air and oil cooled. And they're pretty loud. Just the engine by itself is pretty loud. So at idle, I don't think the two exhausts are going to sound that much different, but when we're actually on the throttle, I think it's going to be a big difference. Very experimental. I don't know what it's going to sound like. I couldn't find any sound clips of this exhaust on the internet anywhere. So it's going to be pretty exciting. Hopefully it sounds good. Let's do it. All right, so now that the exhaust is really hot, we're gonna start messing with it. So, ideally you'd wanna do this with it cold, but here we are. These exhausts are super simple because there's really not much to the exhaust system in this car. You've got your, what do you call these things? Heat exchangers, which are basically headers with metal wrapped around them for your heat in the car. And I actually replaced these with an older version because the 77 versions were awful. So we actually have a 74 set on here. And now the next part is this kind of hot dog shaped muffler. But there's only two connections. So you connect here and connect there. And then you have these straps that hold it in place. With all that out, I think it's just going to come out. So I'm going to go ahead and take these bolts off, which is pretty easy for me because I've done it so many times. And then we'll put some gloves on and remove these straps and try to pull this thing out without removing the bumper. If we have to remove the bumper, we will. I just really don't like it. It's not very fun. So. All right, you ready?
This is hilarious.
The fact that it looks like a hot dog?
It really does.
I know. So this is what I call the hot dog muffler, but it's basically every 911 muffler looks just like this. And the ones you get online are just variations of this. They change the insides out, make them sound different. They'll run dual pipes out the center, whatever. And it's cool, it works. It fits really, really nicely in the bumper. That's what it's made for, which is awesome. But I wanted to do something a little different. So I wanted to make a custom exhaust that had an X pipe in it, that had two mufflers, that was like a dual setup. I thought it'd be really cool. And I was originally gonna make it custom until I found this is the exhaust I found. As you can see, it has a really cool X pipe in the center where the exhaust gases can cross. It's gonna make it sound really good and sound really smooth, even though these engines already sound smooth. So I'm really excited to hear that. We got some cool loops on either end and then dual mufflers. I don't know what this sounds like. I looked everywhere for a video of this exhaust and could not find it. So the brand is called ANSA, A-N-S-A, and it's unlike any other muffler I could find for the 911, and it was way cheaper. I got this off eBay for like 400 bucks. I think it was like $350. And every muffler I could find for this car that was like the hot dog style was $800 or better. Some of them $1,100, $1,200 for a muffler. So I have high hopes. It was cheap for a 911, and I don't know, I think it's gonna sound really awesome. I also think we're gonna be able to keep these tips, which I'm stoked about. I think they're cool looking. So the eBay listing said it was for a 911. It looks like it's for a 911, sort of. So we're gonna just check and see if this fits before we go any further. Dude, no.
Is that matched up?
Yeah.
Oh,
Right there.
that looks mean.
We're touching the bumper thing.
The bump stop thingy?
The little, yeah. But I mean, that's pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it looks awesome.
I think it's just gonna work. All right, so these things came out super sick, and it actually fits like well. I couldn't believe how well it fit the car. Now our car is a little irregular, I'm noticing. The rear bumper actually kind of sags a little bit on the left, and I never noticed that until we put this exhaust on. The exhaust is flat, mostly, but we're touching the bumper right here. So we'll have to figure that out. We'll get that sorted, no big deal. But before we do any of that, it's not gonna be on video, I just wanna hear what this thing sounds like. We haven't started up. The engine is cold now. You can see it's getting dark outside. So we'll get a cold start, we'll warm it up, we'll take it down off the ramps, and then we'll get some revs in and see what it sounds like. So overall, pretty happy with it. It sounds a little bit louder, but it's not so loud that like we're cruising right now and the exhaust isn't any louder than it was before. Now, like I said, the engine's really loud in this car, so you don't really hear the exhaust till like 3,500 RPM, but there is an actual exhaust note now. Before, really, you didn't really hear anything. All you heard was the engine making more noise. So it's really nice to have that like exhaust note coming out through it, and I think it sounds really cool, especially once you pass that 4,000 RPM kind of limit. That's where these engines really start sounding awesome. All right, there you go. That is our $350 Anza exhaust on the 911. I've never heard one of these on these cars, and they do sound really awesome. I thought it was gonna be a lot louder, a lot more aggressive, and it just isn't until you really get up into the higher RPMs, and then it really sings and sounds incredible. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We had a day off and didn't have anything to do, so we decided we'd throw the exhaust in this thing, and I always love working on this car. I guess I will see you guys Saturday. Peace.